So now we move on to a very special session. In fact, I would say that we have one of the finest gentlemen in this country who's actually here, Professor Anil Gupta. In fact, I think he's one personality who does not need any kind of introduction. He has been the person who has been instrumental in creating the Honeybee Network, somebody who's worked on innovation. If I really say the top 3 people in the world on innovation, then you can actually think about him in the top 3 people in the area of innovation, grassroots innovation and things. So, David, can we please sit? Thank you. So we can all do the chit-chat post-lunch. I think this is one session for which I would have actually died for to be here. Professor Anil Gupta, grassroots innovation guy, the walking professor, as he lovingly said actually at many points in time. He does this walk across the country trying to understand what are the innovations that are happening and so on and so forth. I've not had the chance of being a student, but I think that's one misfortune that I actually have. But I would have actually loved to spend time with him and learn from him. I've just started knowing him about 2 years back, but I think the kind of influence he has had on me is absolutely tremendous. Sir, can we request you to be here and share your views?
Thank you, Ahmed. Friends, good afternoon. I said good afternoon. Energy. We need lots of energy because half the things in the world are done not for any other reason than only 2, which is one is energy and second is empathy. These are the 2 major drivers that will never frustrate us. And it is pity that those in whom society invests the most are the most cynical. They have the least hope. They give up so easily. And for some reason, they tend to spread cynicism. Cynicism is infectious. Optimism is not. Optimism requires effort, a significant effort. And what I want to share with you some thoughts on, and leaving some time for discussion if you have, about 10 minutes, is that communities and corporations. Which communities? The creative ones. Which corporations? The hungry ones. The corporations which are hungry for ideas, hungry for learning, hungry for innovations. How do they connect? Why is it that, and I'm being very blunt about it, why is it that the multinational corporations in the last few years I have seen are far more hungry to learn about frugal innovations than Indian corporations? What is happening? I don't understand this. Why should hunger be so intense among the MNCs and less intense, far less intense, in Indian companies? Obviously, there is something wrong. And I will tell you a story. When I discovered this unfortunate reality. So I had gone to Ludhiana at the invitation of the Ludhiana Management Association many years ago, I think about 10, 12 years ago, for a lecture on innovations. So I did a lot of homework from the Honeybee database. We took a lot of cycle-based innovations. I thought I'm going to the cycle capital of the world, so I should carry with me a lot of cycle-based innovations. Cycle which can be used for pumping water, cycle can be used for sprinkling, cycle can be used as a workshop for small drilling and cutting and various other operations, cycle which floats in the water, cycle which moves on the ground. Whole range of functions for which cycle had been innovated and improved upon. Though we all know that the design of the cycle has not undergone any change in the last 60 years. The cycle that common people use in our country is one such design which shows institutionalized inertia of our country. The one which is used by the most common people. For many, it is even an aspirational good to own a cycle. And at the same time, no change. So I took those ideas, presented it, a lot of applaud, everything fine. At the dinner time, I asked the host, don't ask me his name, you liked the presentation, you were very happy with what I said, but you didn't tell me which innovation which I presented will you take it forward in your industry. You know what the reply I got? Professor Gupta, we are doing very fine. Now, how can I pray that they should not do fine? Because if they do fine, then innovations have no place in their scheme of things. If they do bad, only then will they think about innovation. This is not correct. This is not a very pragmatic, a futuristic, a realistic way of thinking. This must change. This must change. The good corporations, the wise ones, the agile ones, don't wait for a problem to arise, then they will start thinking of solutions. They don't, in fact, want to wait for solutions. They don't want to invite problems. Why would they do? Why should I wish any corporation a bad time such that innovations become a prime concern for them? So that day I realized that if this mindset continues, that if you're doing fine, then you don't have to think about innovations, then there's something wrong. Recently, I had an opportunity to interact with the executive committee of NASSCOM in Ahmedabad. They came for some meeting. They said, Prof Gupta, we want to spend an hour with you. I said, all right, come. They came to the institute where I teach. Spent an hour. Mr. Chandrasekhar, who was formerly Secretary IT and now he's the Secretary of NASSCOM, the largest corporation of $100 billion industry of our country, one of the star sector of our economy, the IT sector, were there, all the top executives. I asked a simple question. I said, we have 650,000 villages and we have 150,000 post offices. Is it difficult to imagine putting a Bluetooth broadcaster in every single post office so that we can beam the open source local language content for school children to every single village? So that in 1 year, we remove the asymmetry between many of the kids who are young people sitting here, because they have studied not in the government school. You have studied in private school, most of you. But those who study in government schools are the ones who belong to the poorest families of our society. And there's a big divide today between those who study in government schools. Not in my time. We studied in government schools. Those times, the government schools were the best. Even now, the government schools attract the best teachers, but they don't have the best education, unfortunately. They pay far more than the private schools to teachers. Average salary is 3 times different. Government school salary is 3 times more than the private schools. And yet, for whatever historical reasons and the political interference and whatever has you, things have not been very good. So we are producing 2 classes of citizens. Now, this was an idea where we remove the asymmetry in access to the content between privileged and the less privileged children. I'm waiting for the response. I'm sure they will think about it. But it is doable. What I'm trying to say is there are possibilities by which we can reach the masses. We can make a quantum jump in our social reach, social coverage, social inclusion. We can make a quantum jump. We don't have to make small incremental steps. It is possible to use the same resources that we have in CSR with much higher impact, much, much higher impact. Let me give you another example. We have mobilized in the National Innovation Foundation about 200,000 ideas from 550 districts of our country. Large number of them, about, I would say 65% are dealing with herbal knowledge, botanical knowledge, plant-based knowledge, because that's how our society survived for such a long time. When they didn't have access to modern solutions for agriculture, for human health, for livestock, they needed to rely on their own knowledge system. And therefore, a lot of inventions, innovations, traditional knowledge were fermented and solutions emerged. If at the current level we want to add value, we worked about 200 labs every year, and we have filed more than 800 patents in the name of grassroots innovators. No other organization in this public system has filed as many in the last 5 years, 90% of them. We have licensed about 10%, 83 or so, to small entrepreneurs. Now, if this database is treated as a national database, and if we engage with this database to add value and disseminate these value-added products and services to the rural and urban areas, we can transform. We can transform this country very fast. Why isn't enough hunger? From 62 countries, People have written to us seeking these ideas. They have found us out. We didn't go to them on net. If 62 countries can find applications for grassroots innovations, why is it difficult to find 62 corporations finding applications for these innovations in their own programs? Why is it so difficult? I don't understand. Must be there is a barrier to do something which is different because it involves taking risk. So those of you who are working in CSR wings, unless you become entrepreneurial yourself, unless you take risk in your own career, you can't promote risk-taking culture among the communities, please. A risk-averse professional can never meet a risk-averse individual. How will the path meet? So if people are suffering from a lot of risk, a lot of doubt, floods, have a lot of accumulated debts, and are little risk-averse, some of them at least, you are also risk-averse, you will never meet. So obviously, one of the first advice I will give to CSR teams of the corporation is to be more entrepreneurial, take more risk, publicize your failures gloriously, publicly, share what has gone wrong, why didn't it work, and for God's sake, never, never, never invest your resources in solutions of yesterday. We don't need more of that. That already is happening. There are enough delivery of yesterday's solution in this country. We don't need more. What we need more is futuristic ideas which will not work everywhere, which will involve risk, which will need a lot of adaptive innovations, which will not need a lot of incremental changes by the users. And all of that will require tremendous experimentation. So there's a need for engagement. The third point, we work with children. Children are often treated as sink of sermons. Ye karo, wo karo, do this, do that, all the time. They're tired of listening to the elders about how good they can be if they listen to them. Unfortunately, elders don't know how greatly mistaken they are. So we decided to change this sequence, change the equation. We said, no, children will not be treated as sink of sermons. They will be treated as source of ideas. So we organized Ignite competition on November 7th. Rashtrapati ji gave award at Rashtrapati Bhavan. The youngest child we gave an award was class 1. Class 1. Chris Anant from Viruddhanagar near Madurai, Tamil Nadu. Dr. Kalam was around at that time. He used to come and give Ignite awards every year to Ahmedabad. So why did we give award to this kid? He had those shoes which make sound, chum chum. So his father was doing vacuum cleaning. He asked his father, why do my shoes make sound? Father said, oh, there must be a whistle. Chris said, all right, if there's a whistle, then air must be going out. Father said, yes. Now Chris was smart. He said, he knew how to blow a whistle. So he said, then air must be coming in. Father said, yes. Then why can't my shoe become a vacuum cleaner? Earlier, his mother complained when he dirtied the ground. Now she says, Chris, can you walk here? And when we got this dialogue from his father, we said, here is a genius. He observed, he analyzed, he abstracted, he assimilated, and he applied. All this he could do at the age of 5. And we got this year 55,000 ideas from all over the country. We selected 30. You can imagine how many more deserved attention, which we could not, because awards could be given only to few. There's a tremendous energy among the children. We organize workshops with children to do research. So we take them to different slums. Privileged and less privileged children go together, do research, come back, present their ideas, and get awards get those ideas can be converted into products. So one group went to one of the inner cities region where vendors lived, these cart owners, ready wale, those who sell things on push carts. So they went there and asked them, look, you send golgappe, you send food items on this cart, but their carts are not visible here. Where are they?